There we go.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
I think we can start now.
Go ahead.
So, Julie, thank you very much for joining me for
Very
this
welcome.
session, for this recording, because we keep getting questions from
Brilliant.
people about Celta Delta. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be a good idea for us to kind of get together and talk about that. So first, well, I'm going to introduce you. So this is Julie Lechner. She's our Delta Module 2 trainer. Yes,
Yep.
and she's also one of those rare Delta trainers who actually like not only Module 2, but Modules 1 and most importantly 3, which is something that not many people want to deal with. And yes, on a personal note, she's one of the most knowledgeable and qualified professionals I've met. So
Thank you.
I'm very happy that Julie is with us and that she helps us with our Delta courses as well. Yes, and I'm Diana. I'm one of the Celta and Delta trainers at International Language Center. And for the upcoming courses, Julie and I are planning to work together in those courses.
We're the dream team.
Yes. So, yeah, but again, given the fact that Julie is a much more experienced Delta trainer, I'll be the one asking the questions and Julie will be answering them. And at some point, I will share my experience as well. Well, if relevant or necessary. All right. So let's get started. And Julie, well, the first question, I think that's that's one of my favorite questions that people ask me, and sometimes I just go like, well, both of them are quite good. So, the first question is Delta better than Celta?
Ooh, good question. Here's the thing. No, not one of them is better than the other. They just cater to a different type of candidate. Celta is for what we call pre-service teachers, or what would be sort of a entry level in terms of teaching. So for people who have little or no experience with communicative language teaching. And I think that if I may make an observation here, a lot of teachers come in and do the Celta would have a lot of experience and say, oh, well, I'm already experienced. Why do I need the Celta? Why can't just go directly to Delta? And the answer is the following. You may have a lot of classroom experience, but we are looking for experience when it comes to communicative language teaching. So the Celta is the first step into getting familiarized with communicative language teaching. And then the Delta, now here we are looking at a crowd of candidates, at a cohort that has, I would say, at least 2 years of communicative language teaching experience. So not just teaching experience, but communicative language teaching experience, who are a cohort that is looking to develop professionally in one of the following directions. Other people who want to go into training, people who want to go into teacher training, people who want to go into publishing, or people who want to go into management. So basically, Celta is the ideal course for someone who wants to go into teaching, whereas Delta is the ideal course for someone who wants to go into training, publishing, or management, academic management.
More senior position.
More senior positions, exactly, and all of,
the institution where they work.
Exactly. So they're all perfectly good courses. No one is better than the other. They complement each other and they address a different type of candidate.
So the next question would be, is it really necessary to take Celta before taking Delta or the Delta Module 2?
Yeah. So basically what we're talking about here is mostly the Delta Module 2, which is the most similar in structure with the Celta, in that it has a teaching practice component, right? So you go, you teach, you're being observed, you're given feedback. Now, it is not necessary, but it is strongly recommended. It is not a Cambridge requirement. However, it is at the latitude of the center. So centers can decide if they want to take on candidates without the CELTA. In my experience, I have taken on candidates without the CELTA, and these candidates have done well. I have taken on candidates without the CELTA, and these candidates have struggled. So basically, and I'll tell you why it is important to have a CELTA or a CELTA-like qualification, like the Trinity CELT or the International House certificate. It's because it gives you the foundation of communicative language teaching in terms of classroom practice and lesson planning. The Delta, you deal with these two things. You deal with classroom practice. That means the way you structure your lessons and the way you plan. And you also deal with what I would call the academic part. So writing, researching, so everything that's involved in essay writing or academic writing. People without the CELTA or who have a background in academia, so people who have done their masters or their PhDs, they're very good in the written component of the course. So they're independent when it comes to studying, when it comes to research, when it comes to putting together an essay. But they need time and focus, and there's a lot of learning and unlearning to do when it comes to the classroom practice.
I think I know what you're talking about in terms of unlearning to do.
Yeah. So that's the case. Similarly, I have taken on candidates with the CELTA who have struggled or had a hard time during the course. And this is one of the reasons why we have such a lengthy application task. The interview is very thorough, is a lot more thorough than it is on the CELTA, just so that we are sure of the candidate's suitability in terms of having this being more academically oriented, but at the same time having the confidence to perform in the classroom. And if there's an imbalance there, then we can come up with solutions. We can suggest maybe a part-time course where they would have candidates without a CELTA, for example, would have more time to internalize to revise, to internalize, to learn the classroom part of the course.
And that's why candidates shouldn't be surprised when they have to submit not only the application form, but also we normally ask them to submit a lesson plan.
Yes.
The full lesson plan with
yes.
staging and different justification and stage aims and the procedure. And sometimes after the interview, they might be asked to write a piece of academic writing just for us to see what they can do.
Exactly. Yes. And I have at times, just to make sure I have taken it a step forward, I have asked candidates to send me a recording of a class of theirs just to make sure that they're ready for it. And this has helped quite a lot when it comes to making a decision, because Delta Module 2 is a lot of time, is a lot of effort, is a lot of money. So it's an investment. And we really need to make sure that the candidates are up for it, because it's not one of those courses that you can kind of give up halfway through, because that would be such a pity.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, we can say that we have seen candidates without CELTA who managed to complete the course and do it quite successful. I think I know at least one person who managed to get merit for the course. And the reason for that is that the person has actually worked at a school where the senior teachers and the management were CELTA qualified teachers, and they were doing peer observations. They were observing the teacher. The teacher had the opportunity to observe more senior colleagues who have completed this course. So basically, and they had to plan lessons in accordance with the CELTA standard.
Absolutely. And I think that kind of answers our question brilliantly. It is not about having the CELTA, so it's not about ticking a box. It is about having awareness, at least, at the very least, of what communicative language teaching should look like. Right. So
well,
if
and
you
some
come,
practice would help as
and
well.
some practice would help as well. So if you come from a school that is that's keen on professional development, does seminars, does webinars, and you're a participant in that, then that shows in the application. And yeah, we have right now we have a candidate on a course that we're doing at the moment who's the same, doesn't have a Celta, but does come from a school that is very keen on professional development, and they're doing fine.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question. And I think that this question bothers a lot of people right now with the situation that we have on our hands in the world.
Yeah.
So will this qualification really help a teacher to get a better job? How do you feel about this, Julie? Because my feeling is yes, of course,
yes.
But let's give a bit more information about this. So what do you think?
My feeling is yes. However, we have to keep in mind the following: no qualification out there is going to land you the perfect job. That's just the way it is. Delta is definitely a proof that you are a principal teacher, that you are an effective teacher, and that every sort of teacher's room should be glad to have you. However, if teaching is all you're planning to do with your career, then maybe basically if like I'm putting on my recruiter hat at the moment, right? So I'm working at a school and I'm finding I'm getting an application from someone who wants a job at our school, and they have a Delta. Right off the bat, that kind of puts them at the top of the list, but it also puts them at the top of my list of people that I can count on with things other than than teaching.
Yeah,
like things like admin, things like this is a person that I could possibly get to do seminars for other teachers in the school. So someone I can count
curriculum
on.
design.
Curriculum design, yes.
The least on the list.
Yes.
Designing courses, programs for students as well. That's quite important.
Exactly. So I'll put it this way: a Delta gets you more responsibilities, and hopefully, with those responsibilities come an increase in the paycheck.
Yes, of course, but also it gives you some variety in the work that you do.
Absolutely.
Because, you'll be a better candidate for designing tasks if this is something that you care about, designing course programs. And that's, well, in my experience, in my humble opinion, that's quite interesting, and I'm pretty sure that managers, those people who manage schools, they can give this task to anyone, any teacher who's Celta qualified. So definitely I would be looking for someone who's got Delta and who knows what assessment is about, what course design is about.
Exactly. And also, if I make, just to kind of round up what we're saying here, remember that I said that the ideal Delta candidate is someone who wants to go in either training or management or publishing. Once this is a good opportunity to find your niche, right? So the Delta will get you jobs where you have the opportunity to find your niche, whether that's training or whether that's teaching a specific group of learners and designing curriculum and tasks and whatever for them, or even moving into a more managerial position. But it definitely opens up responsibilities and possibilities and gives you a new set of skills which are very marketable. So that's especially nowadays, and especially with training and everything you learn about learning. It's not just about learning languages. It could be learning anything. So it opens up a world of possibilities, not just in ELT, but also in corporate training, experience design, user design, whatever you want to apply that. So it does open up different possibilities.
I think after this, a lot of people want to ask, can I become a Celta trainer after completing my Delta module 2? So because, well, that's, I think we should actually get together and talk about teacher training in general and how good of a job that is, but I think that here we need to mention that you can be trained up as an ACT when you've completed assistant course tutor, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Assistant course tutor and Celta course after completing modules 1 and 2.
And 2.
But in order to become the main course tutor and be responsible for the timetable and everything, you're going to have to have all 3 modules.
Yes.
But the most important thing is not only getting this Delta qualification, it's important to know which center wants you as a teacher trainer.
Exactly.
Yes, because without the center, you cannot be trained up as a Celta trainer.
Yes.
But
and you
this
need
is
to
the
get
first step in that direction. Definitely.
Exactly. All right. Next up.
So next one. How is Delta Module 2 different from the other modules on Delta, of the Delta qualification?
Exactly. Well, when we talk about the Delta qualification, we're actually talking about 3 distinct modules. And I mean totally distinct and independent. Each one of them comes with their own certification. You can take them in. They're probably not very cleverly called 1, 2, 3. So a lot of people think that you have to take them in that order, module 1 first and module 2. No, they're completely independent. You can take them in whichever order you prefer. I started with module 2 and then moved on to modules 1 and 3. I know a lot of people who've started with module 3 and then moved on to 1 and 2 and so on. So there are many, many combinations.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't recommend starting with module 3. How do you feel about this?
I used to be the same, but I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind. You can start with module 3 as long as you're doing it with me. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. Right. I mean, there are a lot of elements in module 2, which kind of reverberate into modules 1 and 3. Likewise, there's a lot of theory in module 1 that is useful in module 2. There's not much in module 3 that is useful for anything else.
Well, some of it can be useful for module 1, like assessment.
But it's only a small part of it.
Principles, yes.
So just a kind of a quick description. So module 1 is basically an exam. It tests your knowledge of theory and methodology of English language teaching. Module 2, now the module 2 is the one that people say, well, I want to do the Delta. They mean I want to do Delta module 2, basically. This is the one that, as I was saying earlier, is the most similar to the Celta in that it has input and then you have teaching practice, so observed teaching practice, where you, the tutor, your fellow colleagues, they jump in a lesson and you're being observed and you receive feedback on it. And then module 3 is an extended assignment. So it's a little bit like a mini dissertation on curriculum design. You have to design a course for a specific group of learners. So it's more theoretical. It's just something that you need to get done. Delta module 2 is probably the most useful for many people in terms of professional development because it deepens your understanding of ELT methodology and basically deepens your understanding of the theory of learning and teaching. And it's also practical at the same time. I think that it's listed as a level 7 qualification, so equal to a master's. So we're looking at that kind of level of depth, and yeah. So basically, when people say I want to do the Delta, I want to do the Delta module 2. That's what they mean, because that's the most popular and I would argue the most important of the 3 Delta modules.
Yeah, I would like to add just one thing, that the Delta Module 1 exam is not an easy exam to take. It's a
No,
blue
no,
book
no, no.
exam, so it's a writing exam. There is no multiple choice there. You just need to
Yeah.
get ready to write for 3 hours. Well, actually 90
Yes.
minutes, then a short break of 30 minutes, and then 90 more minutes of writing nonstop. And if somebody thinks that they can just register for the exam, take it and
No.
pass it. It doesn't happen that often.
No, no, it
Yes.
doesn't happen. One of the things that I tell people about Delta Module 1 is like, guys, you need to get accustomed to pen and paper like really fast. Like even when I'm doing a preparation online, I'm everything like, write this down. You need to have a notebook. This is our Delta Module 1 notebook. Find a pen that you're comfortable with, and everything is done by hand, because that's how the exam is.
Yeah, it's a bit old school now because there's only the paper version of the exam. But yeah, it's true. This is a handwritten exam, and you need to write for 3 hours. There are no alternatives right now. As soon as anything appears, we'll let people know.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how the module 2 is different. It has a teaching component, an assessed teaching component.
Yeah, well, the next question is also good. Is it, and here I mean the Delta Module 2 course, is it as difficult as people say it is? Is it that demanding or not? And here I think that first we need to say that there are different kind of shapes and modes of the course, because you can do, there's also the distance Delta, where all of the input is basically done online. You just have the tutor, your main tutor who works with you and checks your background essay, and the local tutor who observes your lessons. Now that the teaching can be done online, the main course tutor could be your local tutor as well. Yes. But you need to be aware of the fact that people need to be aware of the fact that the input is done online. Basically, you have the support online, you have some recommendations from the tutors as to how to write your assignments and how to present them. But that's well, pretty much it. No, I like the distance Delta, but I feel that when people are doing it on their own, they feel a bit isolated at times, because they're just in contact with that one tutor, and it's difficult to bridge that gap between them and other people who are doing their online course. When the input is done not via Zoom, but via Moodle or similar platform. I think people are familiar with Moodle.
So that's kind of like, that's the distance Delta. So the main characteristic of the distance Delta is, well, the two main characteristics is one, input is asynchronous. And so it's done on platforms like Moodle, and it's more self-study. And then you do the teaching practice with your own teaching groups. So if you're teaching your own students, basically. These are the two main characteristics of the distance Delta. And then you have part-time and intensive courses, either face-to-face or fully online. So fully online, either part-time or face-to-face courses. That means that input is synchronous, so it's live on Zoom. Teaching practice is often organized by the center. So you are teaching groups of students organized by the center. Some centers are quite flexible. So if you want to teach your own students, that can be arranged. It really depends on the center policy. That's really up to each individual center. So these are probably the more common. People want to do it either face-to-face or fully online, part-time, or just because of this whole the synchronous aspect, whether you're doing it face-to-face in input or over Zoom, is what people appreciate most about this version of the Delta.
Yes, and also if they're teaching the same group of learners, there are more opportunities for them to share experience and to observe other teachers who are taking the course with them. And that kind of creates a very nice atmosphere in the course as well. It's very valuable for the teachers.
It is, and it's all about building that community and that shared experience, and then having input and insights from someone, from your colleagues and your peers, is very, very helpful for different aspects of your development and different aspects of the assignment on the module 2. But to circle back to the question, like, is the course as difficult as people say it is? This is a bit of an unfair question because it depends on what we mean by difficult, and different people react differently to the course. Let's put it
Sorry,
this way.
let's talk
Yeah.
about our course, which is 8
Our
weeks
yeah,
full time online. Yes, so that
online.
means that
Yes.
you're busy like 5 days a week for 8 weeks.
Yes.
You know, but that means the good thing is that you'll be done most likely.
Yes.
After
So the good
the 8
things
weeks.
so the good things is that, you just dedicate these 8 weeks only to the Delta module 2, and you're fully immersed in the experience, and that just you eat, breathe, and sleep Delta or something like that. It is a demanding course. I won't say it's difficult. I say that it's demanding, because we did, both you and I did an 8-week course, and I don't think we found it difficult as it was demanding. I found it demanding and rewarding at the same time. I put in a lot of yeah, I put in a lot of work, and I got a lot out of it. I think that, lately people have, they associate these training courses as something, easy breezy, that we can just, we'll watch a couple of videos, we'll chat, and that's it. But there's a lot of effort that you have to put into a course like the Delta, just to keep on top of deadlines, just to provide good performance. It's dedication, it's commitment. You really have to be committed. You really want to do this. It's commitment, it's the ability to self-motivate. You will be tired. It's an exercise in time management as well. But it is incredibly rewarding. You are learning very, very at a very fast pace, and you are deepening your understanding of things that you thought you knew, and you're learning new things, and you're uncovering new possibilities. So difficult, no. Demanding, yes. Challenging, yes. Impossible, no. I mean, a lot of people pass the Delta.
Well, those people who are likely to fail it, they will not be accepted for the course in the first place. So
exactly.
yeah.
So it isn't something that it's going to be easy. Different people react differently. I know people who just breezed through it and said, oh, it was fine, it was okay. I know people thought, oh my God, it was the most difficult and most challenging 8 weeks of my life. But that's good. Like, that means it is a transformative course.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good word for it. It's not difficult, it's transformative. And everything that's transformative,
the best way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything that's transformative requires a bit of challenge.
Right. Yeah. So the next question is a very practical one. Is it possible to do any work during those 8 weeks of the course?
No, absolutely not.
So maybe 1 or 2 one-to-one students. No.
Depends on how well you deal with
Time management.
With time management. Yeah, it really is time. I would advise you not to. I didn't work during my 8-week course. I could have. I had the time to kind of put in some hours, but I really just needed that time to recharge and kind of disconnect a little bit. So I would strongly advise people to not work during an 8-week course.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. So we're not going to say that it's impossible to do any work.
It's not impossible to do.
it'll be good for you. It will be beneficial not to do it
Yeah.
and focus on the course and actually some recreational activities during the short
Exactly.
breaks that you get.
Exactly.
Right. Because a good teacher is a healthy teacher.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
Well, another question is,
Mhm.
especially this is a common question that you get from people who have done Celta.
Mhm.
And it is a good question. And normally people, the answer to that question gives them a bit of a positive impression of the
Yes.
course. So the question is, will I have to teach like every day or every other day? Because in Celta courses, this is mostly
Yeah, I
what
teach
people
twice a
do.
week.
At least
Yeah.
sometimes they have to teach 3 times a week. So, but at least 2 of the lessons are assessed.
Yeah. The answer is no, you do not have to teach every day. The amount of assessed teaching on the Delta is much less than it is on the Celta. So basically, we assess fewer lessons on the Delta, but these lessons carry more weight and they require more preparation. There is unassessed teaching, which is negotiated between the members of the teaching group, and the workload is divided between the group members. So on an 8-week course, you'll probably teach once a week. Depends a little bit on the number of the candidates, but it's about once a week, maximum twice a week.
And you don't have to observe all the other
and you don't
lessons,
have to
probably
observe
by
all the
the
other
colleagues.
lessons. It's a good thing to do, especially in the first 4 weeks. But then after 4 weeks, once you kind of like tick everything, you can negotiate that with your peers. One thing to mention is that if on the Celta you were told specifically you're going to teach on this day, on this day, and on this day, we on the Delta, teaching practice is much more self-directed and group directed, in the sense that we, the tutors, we rely on the group to kind of make decisions about teaching practice. Of course, we can step in if things get chaotic, but usually it's the group that decides who teaches when, what they teach, what they're going to teach for the assessed lessons, what they're going to teach for the unassessed lessons. Is basically a little bit an exercise in mini syllabus design, just to make sure that the students get a variety of lessons. But as I said, it's much more self-directed. We, the tutors, we step in only if necessary, and basically what we expect is like a timetable at the end, and before the week begins, like, well, I'm teaching this, and I'm doing that, and whatnot. So to make a long story short, no, you don't have to teach every day. At least once a week, maximum twice a week. And not all of those will be assessed.
And there will be some free evenings or mornings, depending on when teaching practice is, that you can spend doing research for your assignments.
Exactly.
The next question is, what do candidates normally struggle with in Delta? Delta Module 2 course. Yeah, let's talk about that.
That's a very good question. Obviously, I mean, the low-hanging fruit is, I would say, the written part, like background essays. Sometimes it's a whole genre that you have to get accustomed to writing the Cambridge way. However, with background essays, you do get a chance for resubmission, so it's not really the end of the world. So what I would say, I would like to focus actually more in terms of teaching practice, because that's your mark for teaching practice is the one that your grade for teaching practice is the one that carries the most weight. And I think that, listen, on the Celta, we teach you teaching reflexes, right? like check your instructions, ask your CCQs, make sure students pair check or work in groups or whatever, right? And you're not thinking very hard about why you're doing all of these things. You just trust us that that's the way to do it. But on the Delta is we are trying to develop an understanding of what is happening in the classroom. And we are looking for the following thing. We are looking for teachers to be able to react, to respond, to exploit the students' emergent language and needs, so linguistic needs and also affective needs. One of the things that candidates struggle with on the Delta is actually feedback, is the ability to provide helpful, responsive feedback. Because there's a tendency to go like, task 1, set the task, students work in pairs, here are the answers, move on to task 2, and so on, which is something that we see often on the Celta, and we're like, okay, yeah, good lesson. You managed, you ticked everything on the lesson plan. But on the Delta, you do have to show that you're responding to the learning that is happening in the classroom, and that there is evidence of that learning that you are aware of and that you are making your students aware of. So it's all down to good feedback. That's where the teaching happens in the feedback stages.
Yeah,
and I
because
think
this is
that
where
is
you have to make the decision where you're going next, which way you're headed after that. And that has to be based on the learner's needs.
Exactly. And it's that awareness, and it's not just awareness in you, that, it's also raising the students' awareness of where they're struggling, what they've learned in that particular lesson, and being very, very explicit about that. That's what candidates often find difficult in a Delta Module 2 course. And I would say also reflecting on that in the self-evaluation, or as we call it, the post-lesson evaluation, the PLE. We get sort of these sort of superficial, at the beginning at least, these sort of superficial, yeah, the students did that, I achieved my aims.
I checked my instructions.
I checked my instructions. But there's no sort of evidence and no justification for the decisions that were made. And actually on the Delta Module 2, your self-evaluation is very important. And in situations where your grade is borderline, it's your self-evaluation that can either, that can make or save a lesson. You'd say you had a lesson that didn't go very well, but you are aware of the things that didn't go well and what you could have done better and why these things happened. And the examiner, the assessor, is hesitating between a pass and a fail. It's actually your what we do is we go to the lesson evaluation, and it's that lesson evaluation that could turn it into a pass, or damn it, and turn it into a fail grade. So I think that in terms of teaching practice, these I've noticed are the bits that are hard for teachers. Feedback, truly helpful and responsive feedback, raising awareness of the learning that is happening in the classroom, both in yourself and your students, and reflecting on that in the post-lesson evaluation.
And the one more thing I'd like to add, because, I think that, on the course that we're teaching right now, the teachers are so not happy with this. But the thing is, and again, it will sound technical at first, but actually there is more depth to this. So one of the issues that teachers find difficult is actually, to deal with and to overcome, is actually poor timing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's also favorite. But the thing is that it's not only about kind of not doing things right, not maintaining the right pace. It's more about the scope of the lesson and being a bit ambitious or over ambitious
Over
in the
ambitious,
lessons. Yeah. And that's another problem that a lot of teachers will have to face, because they will want to do more as much as possible in 60 minutes, but they need to be realistic about it, and they need to kind of control themselves sometimes.
Exactly. And I was part of a Delta panel of tutors from all over the world who got together and discussed basically how Delta is doing online. So what are the advantages? What are the things? What's different about doing the course online? So synchronous over Zoom, and what this came up as a problem: time management, because 60 minutes of online teaching is not exactly 60 minutes of face-to-face teaching.
Yeah.
Yes, and all of the tutors were in agreement that actually this is a little bit better, because it forces you to streamline the information and to avoid cognitive overload in your students. And also, it's actually quite good when it comes to syllabus and curriculum design, because you are sort of forced to use the unassessed teaching practice as a sort of preparation for your assessed lesson. So I don't know, maybe you don't have time in 60 minutes to deal with all three aspects of the present perfect, all three uses of the present perfect, but maybe you can do, you probably do two of them in an unassessed lesson, or have already introduced what you want to work on, and then in the assessed lesson you're just focusing on the practice and the deepening of understanding and whatnot. So you can use your unassessed lessons to kind of help you set up your assessed lesson.
Right. And the next, and I think that's going to be the last question, because we've already talked about the writing that people have to do on the course. And there's quite substantial. Yes. So how is the course assessed? And maybe here we could tell our teachers a bit more about the assignments and how they are assessed. And that will give them, again, a clear idea of how much writing they have to do.
Exactly. So here is how the course assessed. There are a number of assignments that you have to complete. One assignment, which is called I'll get that out of the way, which is called the PDA, the Professional Development Assignment. This is probably the easiest, but at the same time, the most rewarding of all of them. But this is broken out throughout the course in different stages. And it's just a matter of identifying where you are now in terms of strengths and weaknesses, coming up with a plan to develop and kind of eliminate the weaknesses and consolidate your strengths, and just revising that plan throughout the course. So that's your PDA. This is something that needs to be ticked. It's pass or fail. You don't get any higher grades on it. So it just has to be completed. So that's out of the way. Now, the meat of the course is represented by what we call the LSA. LSA stands for Language Systems or Skills Assignments. There are 4 LSAs on the course. 2 of them are systems, so based on things like grammar, lexis, discourse, pronunciation, and 2 of them are skills. 1 productive, speaking or writing, and 1 receptive, reading or listening. These are your 4 LSAs. Each LSA has 2 components, which are separately assessed. So you will have what we call the background essay. This is a research and investigation of your chosen topic. I don't know, let's say you're doing an LSA on grammar and you want to focus on present perfect for I don't know, experiences on one part of 1 or 2 parts of the present perfect.
Or past,
And you just
past
do
tenses for present with present or future meaning.
yes, there you go.
That
There
was
you
my
go.
favorite.
Yeah, so something, an area of either grammar, lexis, vocabulary, pronunciation that you have a professional interest in, something that you always struggled with, something that you've noticed your students have a hard time with. And in the background essay, you do your research, you analyze what you need to analyze, you come up with solutions to any problems that you may identify. And the background essay is 2,500 words. And that's component number 1 of your LSA. And component number 2 is represented by the lesson itself. So now that you've become a little expert in your area, you have to teach a lesson based on what you've researched. You have to design the lesson, so write a lesson plan, which is quite extensive because you have to justify everything you do. So the lesson
I wanted
plan,
to say, like, part 1 is 2,500 words, you know, and the lesson plan is like up to 70 pages.
Yeah, I mean, I've read lesson plans up to like 10,000 words. I think that was my max. But yeah, because you have to justify like absolutely everything. So they're quite extensive.
It never actually occurred to me to count the words, you know. I normally count the pages. Probably I should do it, but after I've read it. You know?
After you've read it, yeah.
It'd be a bit demotivating to do it.
And yeah, so you design the lesson, you teach the lesson, and you get a grade on that. So your LSA, you get a grade on your background essay, on your research, and then you get a grade on your lesson. And the grade on the lesson is the one that actually carries the most weight when it comes to final grading. So yeah, you have 4 LSAs, so 4 times you have to do this. 3 of these LSAs are internally assessed. That means by, for example, you and me. And one of them, the final one, LSA 4, is externally assessed. So remember, like on the Celta, you had an assessor person come in, watch you teach, ask you questions and whatnot. And we would always say, like, don't worry about them. They're not here for you. They're here for us. That's on the
inviting
Celta.
you to complain about the course,
Yeah,
the tutors.
That's on the Celta. On the Delta, the assessor has a vastly different function. Basically, they will be the one assessing your LSA 4. We, the course tutors, we don't even see it. We don't see the final product. We are not allowed by Cambridge to see the final LSA. The assessor comes in, watches the lesson, sends their feedback off to Cambridge. We do not see that feedback. The assessor does not share it with us. It is not allowed. It's not that they don't want to or couldn't, it's that they are not allowed. Then we send in also our feedback based on your internal performance. And Cambridge is the one, so the principal moderators from Cambridge are the ones who actually look at your portfolio, look at all the feedback that you've received from us internally and from the assessor externally, and they make a final decision on your grade. So it's Cambridge has a lot more responsibility and a lot more involvement here. What we do is we prepare you for that last LSA that needs to be planned and delivered independently.
Yeah. And what are the possible grades? People do like to hear about the grades, right?
Yeah, they do grades. So you get a pass, you get a pass with merit, or a pass with distinction. So these are the 3 pass grades. Of course, you can also get a fail.
Well, first you get referred twice.
So that last lesson, that LSA 4, the first time you do it, you don't get a fail. You get what we call a referral. It means that maybe there's an aspect, like it could be anything. It could be your lesson was great, but your background essay was not. So you get a referral. This means you get a chance to redo the lesson. without retaking the course again.
The
and
lesson and the background essay.
the
It
lesson
has
and
to
the
be
background, the whole
different.
assignment.
Yes,
Yeah,
the whole assignment has to be different. Yeah,
has to be different to the original one. So you get a do-over basically.
Yeah. And I probably shouldn't open this can of worms, but I will. Is it possible to fail your Delta module 2?
It is
What
possible.
What if you don't pass any of the internally assessed LSAs?
Yeah, so
that
you
means
do
that you
have to
can't even do LSA 4, right?
Yes, you do have to pass the internally assessed ones. Here is where centers will do their very best to get you to pass the internally assessed lessons. So our job is to make sure that you pass internally. There are very few, very few, like 0.5% cases where candidates do not pass internally, so do not pass one of the 3 LSAs.
I've heard of such cases, but I haven't seen one, and I hope I never will.
Yes. No, it's no, because it's as centers and as tutors, and basically the 2 of us will do everything in our power to make sure that you pass the one of the internal, and that means getting resubmissions for your background essays, reorganizing lessons if we need to, so you get a do-over. And in my experience, I've been a Delta tutor for some years now, I have never had a candidate. I have had candidates in danger of not passing internally, but they pulled through in the end. They needed a little bit of support, which we were happy to give, and they pulled through in the end. So internally, as I said, worldwide, maybe 0.5 cases. It's very unlikely that they will not pass internally. When it comes to the external, so the LSA 4, a lot of people get referrals. They get referred once, they get, if you get referred twice, you have to redo the course. But again, that's very uncommon, so it is not the norm. And honestly, it means that there were some mistakes made during the interviewing process. Like someone was accepted and they were not ready to take on the Delta. And this is why I love working with you, and I love working with ILC when I know that the interview process is very rigorous, because even at the interview process, we need, I mean, the people who are accepted are, I don't know, more than 80% likely to pass the course. So are ready to have to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Well, I don't know if teachers still have questions. If you still have questions, please send us an email. You know how to find us. So this video will be on YouTube, but there will definitely be a post on our Instagram and Facebook page. Yeah. So if you have any other questions about this qualification, about Delta, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. Yeah. So you can write them in the comments. So we will check them. We'll see them, and well, I think people know how to find us.
And if I have a last piece of advice, just take the course. A lot of the questions that you have will be answered during the course, and you'll see how it all comes together on it. So if this has been your dream for a while now, don't let the questions get into your way. Just do the course, and do the course with us, because we offer a lot of emotional support as well.
Yes.
Not just professional support.
Not only the expertise. Yeah,
not only the expertise. That's one of the reasons why our courses are so popular, and one of the reasons why we love doing Delta Module 2. It's not just the expertise, it's also the care we have towards our candidates' needs. So looking forward to seeing you on the course.
Yes. So thank you, Julie. And
you're welcome.
Yes. So this is it.